We had an 11-hour day yesterday and we went through four different sounds. So we had a day off. It'd be nice. Here's what's going on. We're all repositioning our boats for a blow. We've got a forecast of 25 to 35 knot winds coming from the southwest, then swap around to the north, then the northeast. So my plan is to just let these trees kind of knock it down. And I've come over here. I'm in a wide shot for you. In reality, this is how close I am to the dock. All right, I mean, we're right up on it for a blow. Well, we're going to know how this works out pretty soon. Well, this is day 13 on the water. It's been raining in Florida so much that it turned the boat and all the lines green, and no different up here. Still camped out behind the fort. Can't move. Just waiting for weather to calm down. There's a little problem. There's 9-foot tides here in Georgia, so when he got back from seeing the fort, he had a little problem. They don't mention anything about this kind of thing in the yachting magazines at all, but I was watching the deer come out at Fort Frederica's ramp. Well, it's day 17, and we got a fog day today. He was around the corner in the marsh grass, and he'd run out of groceries, so he's headed into town, which is a good stiff hike, about 3 miles to the grocery store, but you got to do what you got to do. Disassembled his bicycle there and transported it over to the dock. At least he's got a bicycle. He was thinking that far ahead. Well, we're in the 6th day, so everybody's running out of supplies and propane and all that kind of thing. And steadily keeping track of the barometer as it goes up and down. This is where it was, this is where it is. And I'm logging the numbers as we came in. 10:10, 10:13, 10:30, 10:25, now 10:16. And I have to figure we've been through, this is the first front coming in, and I have to figure at this point we must have been at the center of the second low pressure coming in. The first one was really strong. This one's not quite as strong, but still we got 35 knot winds. Our position on the coast, as you know, as the low comes in, it's spinning counterclockwise. And if we're, it's actually come up the coast like this second one. But if we're in the center here, I know that pretty soon we're going to get this side of the wind as it moves on over us. So we're going to get a direct west wind. The turn is starting to face toward the island here, and that's directly east. So our nose is pointed west, and we're catching that, starting to catch that west wind. Here's our nose. The sailors refer to this as anchoring into a lee shore, which means that the shoreline is behind you, and it's a very dangerous condition. But you know, don't always have the choice. But you got to watch your anchor like a hawk, because you can be into the shoreline here. Not much room for error. Another boat coming into the anchorage. Well, our 6th day at Fort Frederica, and we've finally been able to come ashore. I'm going to take a look at the fort today. And this is our rooms for provisions, books, etc. And the uppermost, a chapel. General Oglethorpe, 1738. And this was it. It's right in front of the fort. And he says inside of the fort isn't what I would have thought. Oh wow, look at that.
It's like a cave, more
sure enough.
than anything. Not very big.
Look at that. I'll read it for you. Oglethorpe. This remnant is all that time is spared of the citadel of the town of Frederica, built by General Oglethorpe, A.D. 1736, as an outpost against the Spaniards in Florida. This was erected by the Georgia Society of Colonial Dames of America in 1904. Casemate. Interesting. Kind of glad we weren't attacking the fort or anything like that. We're in a poor position. Now this is actually what it looked like back in the day. The fort extended about 90 feet further this way. So just the south wall is remaining of the fort. It was a little bit bigger than advertised when we first got here. Here, this was the barracks, and this is what the barracks looked like. The Spanish attack was on the other side of the island, on the southeast side, and they were repulsed. That's what this looked like. Here's the size of it, and this is what remains. Was the citadel part of it, which is of course this structure here. Sure enough, this was the town part of it, and we've had the bakery. Let's see, we got iron slide bolts, wing nuts, triangular files, all kinds of stuff. But the town section, I'll raise the camera up so you can see the various buildings where they were. And they sat right below the fort. Patrick Houston wrote in January 1741 that he was now settled in Frederica, being lately married to Captain Dunbar's sister, who hath a lot in Frederica, which is now mine. And this was home sweet home. I'll give you an idea of the size of it. It wasn't very big. Tavern keeper and doctor here, and this represents two houses together. Alright, it's Easter, and we're doing our checks because we're going to try to move tomorrow. The weather's finally starting to break. And I'm down in the hold. I'm going to take and drain the Raycor. When we're going across the inlet, of course, we're shaking, and we probably got water down in the separator down here, which has just got a little twist oak petcock on the bottom of it that we open and drain into a cup, see if we got any water. On the top is a twist, and that's where your separator filter goes. Sits right down inside, and then each filter comes with a seal, everything you need to do to change a filter. So all I'm doing is opening the petcock and letting what looks like, sure enough, some water drip right down. When it changes to a red color, then I know I've got diesel coming out. So I'm just going to give it a good long time. I've got a piece of wire I'm going to put up in there a little bit, kind of clean it out. If you can see this, but there's your water up to there, and there's your fuel on top of that. We drain a little extra out and make sure we got it all. Okay. All right, from the rake horse strainer, we're coming in down to and back up to the engine to the fuel filter. Now, if you ever find water in between changes, no matter what the hours are that they recommend, if you find water in here, you're not changing that, or you're not checking that enough. Now, Ms. Mattson has taken off the port line, and we're going to blow that out because coming across these choppy inlets here, evidently we've got some trash or something in the line. It's not sucking off that fuel tank like we think it should. And we're going to check that out. Now, this is the fuel feed. As you know, diesels return most fuel back to the tanks, and knowing that, we can transfer fuel around. They use fuel for cooling. We have our air tank, so we have to do it the old-fashioned way. Just blow it out. There we go. Got it. Now, these are the fuel valves, and normally when I'm running, I've got them both open. The exception is we've just filled both tanks, so I'm going to run just off the right tank and let it build some headspace, because since we know that these diesels use most fuel for cooling, on our return line we don't want that filling because our fuel will go out. And so here's how we're going to manage it. We're going to run for a day, get us some headspace in the tank where we can return fuel, and then we're going to open this one up to the left tank and let that feed in, and our return fuel will be going from this tank, the port tank, whatever it uses off of that, and it'll be feeding into our starboard tank and keeping it full.